guess he was mesmerized by what he was seeing. But that there, if I have another one too that I also got an email, but it doesn't have. I got a couple triangle ones this week, but they've been big recently, especially in the last 2 weeks here. I've been getting a lot of triangle sightings.
A lot more than normal, I take it.
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, besides the New Fork site, my email, I've probably gotten since December until now. I've probably gotten about 17 triangle ones. So that definitely tops what have been out of the, I guess, other shapes that people are reporting. So,
well, Ryan, how big is anybody describing how big these triangles are?
They all pretty much give the same. I guess I hear a lot of it. It's either the size of a car or the size of a jet plane. So, I mean, that's pretty decent size, especially to see. And a couple of them were in the daytime too. The ones I received.
Interesting.
So,
but what's going on lately? I haven't been hearing any reports of these triangles the size of Walmart stores. All of a sudden, that's kind of dried up. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, for sure. Matter of fact, I think last week we were talking about a couple of those, and I haven't heard any this week. And like you said last week, they pretty much dried up of getting those big ones, except for the one I reported tonight. But it wasn't. I believe it wasn't the shape of a triangle though. So.
Have you heard any? Yeah. Have you had any, or do you get reports of aliens, abductions, anything like that lately?
I have two reports of two entity sightings, but the one, her name's Shirley. The one I can off the top of my head, her name's Shirley, and she's from North Carolina. And she gave me an email about an entity that I guess that she thought was getting into her car. Now she was coming back from a jog, and this was about 11:30 at night. And whenever she saw this creature, I guess near her car, she started speeding up, running. And when she got close to it, she started yelling, "Hey, that's my car! Get away from it!" And all of a sudden, she said it was like someone skipped ahead, or it just disappeared that fast. So, and she went over to the car, and she never thought to call the cops because she thought the cops were going to think she was crazy.
Well, can I be honest with you? What do you think the cops think when somebody says, "Hey, I just saw a alien," or "I saw this," or "I saw that"? I mean, the first thing they're going to do is search the car. You know that.
For sure, yeah. I guess they could also dust it for prints too, especially if it was touching her car. But like you said, what would they say, when they first, get the call?
What I would think what the first thing they would do is look at the person and ask them, have you stopped anywhere and had anything to drink? Are you using anything? You know what? Talking about UFOs is one thing, and talking to the police, well, I saw a UFO. But when you start saying, I saw, an alien, that's kind of where the line draws. And then they start looking at you like, what hospital did you escape from?
Exactly. When I ask the cops out here, the line usually draws at, have you seen UFOs? Or have you guys gotten any UFO calls lately?
So how did they know you? Any of the local law enforcement know that you're out looking for UFOs? And if so, how do they treat you?
The local cops around here, they do, about 3 or 4 of them definitely know that I'm definitely the one to contact for it. And they're usually pretty good about it. Matter of fact, when they see me at the gas station, when I do get out, they'll usually stop and ask me if I've seen anything lately or anything like that. And a couple of them actually have told me about some of the stuff that they've seen, back in the past. Nothing ever recent. It's always something that they might have seen a couple years ago before they were a cop,
Yeah, I know. After they're a cop, they're kind of scared to talk about it. That is one thing. I don't blame them. But have you ever talked to I don't know, how big is your police department or sheriff department there?
It's the borough I live in isn't, it's a decent sized borough, I guess, but the police department isn't too big. I mean, It's not too big, but the boroughs surrounding it, they get a little bigger. Like the one that's north of me is literally the highest paid police department in the state of Pennsylvania. So they got a really big one out there, and they're a lot more tight-lipped about what they see because they're only about 3 miles from me. So I head up there. I usually try to stop and ask them some questions, and they don't ever want to talk. I think I got one to talk to me about a sighting that he had seen, and that was one time out of probably, I don't know, maybe 13 times.
Well, 1 out of 13 isn't bad. It's better than 1 out of 20.
Yeah.
But have you ever thought about calling your local police department and say, hey, my name is Ryan. I do a little, bit on a national talk show, and I do once a week a report on UFOs. Is there any way, if you get any reports of UFOs, you can contact me? Have you thought about that one?
I have contacted them. I've actually went down there. The lady wasn't too friendly with me, but I can add in the other part about the radio show. Matter of fact, I'm due to go down there anyway, so I'll definitely reframe my question there and let them have it with that.
Well, if anything, you might get a couple officers at night listening to the show when they're doing their rounds.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So anything else exciting going on with UFOs or anything?
Yeah, I got a couple more here. I got one here from Melbourne, Florida, and this happened a couple days ago. He says, we were driving back from a store on Apollo Road, and we're at a stoplight turn at Sarno Road in Melbourne. While sitting at the red light, we looked up and saw large balls of red light that went straight up and arced sharply and went back down and disappeared. There were no sounds and no smoke, and there were no smoke trails. It lasted about 20 seconds and then disappeared. Now, the reason why I kept that one is because on the 23rd of December, it's my daughter's birthday, I was sitting out front. All of a sudden, I saw this. You know what? I don't even know what it was because it was big, but it was coming down into the ground, like coming down to the ground. It was green, orange, red, white, and blue. You could hear it crackling. And I called, the police department to report it because I have no idea. It had to have either been, I guess it was a meteor, but this is the crazy part. It's about 2 minutes later, another one came heading east, but out of the same exact spot as the first one.
Interesting.
I've never heard of anything like that. The same spot. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, because usually a meteor will be coming from different areas. So one might drop in, and then the other one might drop in anywhere from a few miles to a few hundred miles away, depending on how close they were trailing each other. But if it's a minute or two later and it's in the same position, then that makes me wonder, what was it?
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty crazy. All right, I got one more for you. This comes out of Sand Springs, Oklahoma. It says, I observed 5 same-sized luminous objects in the sky traveling from south to north in a straight line. First object was slightly ahead of the next 4, which were then equally spaced. No trail between suggests a meteor or debris hitting the atmosphere. It says, it was not in... I guess the 2 at the end, he's saying here, I guess trailed off. Because at first he thought it was a satellite. Just like all these other ones I've been reading about this. This is the crazy part is, how many times have I brought up these now? The UFO sites are just riddled with these light objects all in the same row. It's just, I wonder what these are. Because now this is getting to be like an overflow of these right here. Of these sightings right here. Anyways, he ends it with, he said the speeds were all stayed the same. They all were going the same direction, and all of a sudden they all disappeared one by one. He said for the last couple ones, they started to twinkle, and then they started to blink, and then all of a sudden they disappeared. So that's that, but I don't know about you guys, but these are, I don't know, they're just everywhere, these sightings. I still don't have an idea of what they are.
I don't either. And again, the person in Las Vegas has been putting up more videos, and I kind of got an argument with one of the people today in that group, and then a couple people. Again, like I said, this thing going on in Las Vegas, I actually even confirmed with another person today that a military person that it's like almost every week there's helicopters making their routine around all the hills and the mountains around Las Vegas. They're checking for radiation from all those bombs that were done years ago, and they're seeing if it's kind of working its way in towards Las Vegas. And they said exactly the same thing. The helicopter will come up to an area, they measure the radiation, they don't have to drop anything down, they got fancy equipment to do it, and then they get the reading, and then they travel another little distance, they come and stop and do the same thing. And I put up there, I said today, well, I verified with the FAA, I verified with the control tower, and then I verified again with the Air Force up there. And they said the same thing, that if there was that many UFOs or any UFO in the area, that's an international airport, they would shut it down. They wouldn't let planes come in and go with the UFOs in the area.
Exactly.
And that makes sense to me. But, some people want to believe in UFOs so bad that somebody can post these videos up. I'm not saying he's doing it purposely. But I will say this. I have checked out some of his, videos and checked out frame by frame. You can definitely see it. It's a helicopter. It's going to an area, stopping, going to an area and stopping, going to an area and stopping. You can also see the lights on it, the color lights that is required for the FAA, for aircraft. And again, if these helicopters turn a certain way, then the lights go out because you're not seeing it from your view. But again, to go out like almost every week or every other week and capture a UFO going on repeatedly over and over again for years, come on. When it's quite known, even with the local, I even made a phone call to the airport and talked to a pilot, not a commercial pilot, but a private pilot. They connected me with somebody, and he says, "Yes, we know that we're notified about the aircraft, the helicopters on the sides of the hills and around the mountains doing their thing, so we don't run into one." Duh. So I don't know. It's rather interesting. But people want to believe it so bad that I don't know.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I got a guy on Facebook that does the same thing. He's long story short, he's basically recording videos of jets flying, and I'm not kidding. They're jets. You can clearly see them, and he's saying they're UFOs.
Yeah, and they're jets. But you know what happens? Even with a jet, when it makes the bank to turn, right? To either line up with the airport or whatever they do, then all of a sudden the lights go out because you don't see them because the plane is banked. Oh my God, I saw a UFO and it went poof, it was gone. It was an aircraft that made a turn, and that's why you don't see the lights. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't maybe UFOs occasionally over Nevada, Las Vegas, but not almost every other week. And spending a long period of time doing their thing. Now, can you hang for a couple minutes after we have our break?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to put you on hold, so don't hang up. We'll be back in 2 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio, and our guest tonight is Whitley Strieber, and we're going to be talking about the coming superstorm. The book is 20 years old, but you know what? It's coming. Trust me. We'll be back.
And he drove his motorcycle that fast. He drove a big chop hard with a gang cousin's jacket, and he ran down citizens for laughs. He had an old lady named Petula, packed an automatic 45 gun. They had just just come up from California where they shot 6 cops for fun.
You can advertise your